Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, where engines aren't the only things running hot. Since Trump's 2024 return to office, US-Canada relations have downshifted into crisis mode. What started as a throwaway tariff joke has spun out into annexation threats, a heated trade war, and a surge of Canadian nationalism. With Mar-a-Lago memes, political shakeups, and a new PM steering the wheel, the diplomatic fallout has hit redline. Let's break down the high-octane developments rattling North America's balance, and why this isn't just foreign policy. It's a full-blown geopolitical burnout. Annexation or antagonism, Trump's 51st state rhetoric goes off-road. At first, it sounded like Trump being Trump, another offhand remark that revved up headlines but not much else. But in December 2024, fresh off his re-election victory lap, Trump dropped a bombshell during a meeting with then-Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Canada could avoid US tariffs by becoming the 51st state. Cue nervous laughter from the Mar-a-Lago crowd. But then came the Truth Social posts. Wayne Gretzky photoshopped in stars and stripes, and jabs about economic annexation. Satire? Sure didn't feel like it for long. By early 2025, the joke had skidded off the cliff. Trump began seriously floating the idea of using economic force to bring Canada into the American fold. He dug up old territorial disputes, even questioning the 1908 border treaty like it was some lemon deal at a shady dealership. Behind closed doors, pressure intensified. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick warned Canadian officials that legacy agreements, decades in the making, were easy to abandon. Whispers of renegotiating borders and expelling Canada from NORAD and Five Eyes weren't just bluster. They were calculated torque on diplomatic gears. In Ottawa, alarm bells blared. This wasn't just policy posturing. It was a coordinated squeeze on Canada's sovereignty. The engine of U.S. foreign policy had downshifted into a gear no one saw coming. But political intimidation wasn't the only tool in the U.S. garage. Washington followed it up with real economic muscle. From allies to adversaries, tariffs trigger trade turbulence. Then came February 1st, 2025, the day the clutch dropped. Trump slapped a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports, citing national security concerns ranging from fentanyl to border security. Never mind that Canadian fentanyl contributions are statistically negligible, the message was clear: bend or get bulldozed. Canada didn't stall. In response, retaliatory tariffs hit U.S. exports like bourbon, dairy, textiles, you name it. Provinces like BC and Quebec didn't hold back either. Border inspections tightened, American agricultural products were halted, and joint infrastructure projects got the axe. Border towns felt the brunt first. Windsor, Ontario, so integral to the U.S. auto sector it might as well be bolted to Detroit, started bracing for impact. Memories of the 2022 Ambassador Bridge shutdown came rushing back. South of the border, things weren't any smoother. Appliance makers, distilleries, even travel agencies began tallying losses. Tourism dried up faster than a leaky carburetor, and Buy Canadian campaigns revved into overdrive. The data doesn't lie. By February, Angus Reid polling showed 91% of Canadians supported cutting trade ties with the U.S. Meanwhile, an Ipsos poll clocked U.S. favorability at a record low, just 32%. But economic retaliation wasn't just about dollars and tariffs. It sparked a deeper, more emotional reaction across Canada. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now, let's shift gears and steer towards our next point: national pride in overdrive. Canada hits back with unity and grit. If Trump's aim was to divide and conquer, he backfired spectacularly. His aggressive posture did what few domestic issues could: unify Canadian politics. Newly sworn-in Prime Minister Mark Carney took the wheel after Trudeau's exit, calling the situation the most significant crisis of our lifetimes. His first order of business? Reassess Canada's entanglements with Uncle Sam. The $19 billion F-35 program went under the microscope. Opposition leader Jagmeet Singh called for a hard stop, cancel the deal, cut reliance. Singh even proposed banning Trump from the G7 summit in Alberta, branding him a fascist. Not exactly friendly diplomacy. Meanwhile, provinces fueled the pushback. Nova Scotia, Manitoba, and Quebec launched campaigns urging public agencies to ditch U.S. suppliers. Slogans like Fabric of Quebec and Boycott USA gained traction online like all-weather tires on fresh snow. The cultural backlash roared to life. U.S. anthems got booed at sporting events. Canadian flags flooded social media feeds. Even hockey broadcasts became arenas of national resistance. The mood? Less sorry, more stand your ground. And as public sentiment surged, Canada's leaders began shifting not just their tone, but their trade strategy. Shifting gears, Canada accelerates global trade strategy. With relations between Washington and Ottawa stalling out, Canada popped the clutch and turned outward. Trade Minister Mary Ng led a high-octane push to Brussels and Singapore, aiming to strengthen ties with the EU and Indo-Pacific partners. The objective? Cut Canadian export dependence on the US by half, and fast. Under the CETA agreement, trade with the EU had already surged 65% since 2017. Now, Canada was doubling down, pushing for greater access for SMEs and critical minerals. Meanwhile, talks about fueling Europe with cleaner energy alternatives took center stage. Back in the Americas, Canada and Mexico began tightening their bolts. The two former NAFTA allies explored new frameworks to dilute U.S. dominance, an economic partnership forged not just by opportunity, but by shared frustration. Even defense policy saw a recalibration. While withdrawing from NORAD and Five Eyes isn't imminent, Canada's rethinking its default alignments. For the first time in decades, Ottawa is asking, do we still trust the U.S. to have our six? And that trust, or lack thereof, is now fueling the biggest political test yet. April 28th, Showdown, sovereignty on the ballot. As Canadians gear up to hit the polls, this election isn't about minor course corrections. It's about who should have their hands on the wheel during this geopolitical drift. PM Mark Carney is leaning into his steady hand narrative. His message: no more compromise, no more talks until the U.S. dials it down. He's cut taxes and taken a firm anti-annexation stance. Pierre Poilievre counters with cost-of-living focus, still nationalist but less combustible. He denounces Trump's rhetoric, but prefers controlled retaliation. Then there's Jagmeet Singh, firing on all cylinders. With biting sound bites and bold proposals, he's captured the emotional torque of the moment. All three leaders are aligned on one thing. Canada's not signing away its keys. But how did we get here? And what does it mean going forward? Final verdict: Canada redefines its road ahead. What began as a meme-worthy comment turned into a diplomatic detonation. Canada's response? Not just resistance, but realignment. From turbocharged trade deals to defense independence, the country is reshaping its playbook. The April 28th election won't just pick a leader. It'll define how Canada navigates the road ahead. Now let's hear from you. Do you think Canada's push to reduce U.S. trade dependence is the right call, or too risky? Can a stronger Mexico-Canada alliance truly change the North American balance? Should Canada build independent defense strategies, or stay plugged into U.S.-led frameworks? Has Trump's rhetoric caused permanent damage to the U.S.-Canada relationship? And as we approach the election, who do you trust to guide Canada through this high-stakes chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your insight fuels this channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to Piston Pundit and tap the notification bell for more updates on vehicles, geopolitics, and everything in between. Thanks for watching. See you in the next ride. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.